Make a decision, and then you never look back. You don't second guess yourself. Well, I should have done the other one. I should have done this one. Maybe if I hadn't done this one, that would have happened or something. So I think you think about it and you do your best, and then you leap.
Do you have a favorite saying, like a Dharma quote or something from your own teaching that you go back to and you're like, this is just, this is such a terrific, inspirational quote that I can always, pull up and draw on?
Well, I think of, I probably have a lot, but the one that immediately comes to mind, Suzuki Roshi, no matter what anyone would say to him, he would say, "Oh, not always so. Not always so." It's like this, not always so. It's like that, not always so. I like that. I like that one.
That's beautiful. And then I wanted to talk to you some about this notion of bravery, but I wanted to talk about it in a personal way.
Okay.
Because from the outside, I think sometimes people think, wow, that was so courageous. Look what this person did. And on the inside, it's like, well, that wasn't really the courageous thing. If you want to know the really courageous thing I did, no one saw it or no one commented on it, but that was the really tough, brave thing I did. And I wanted to know in your own life, what comes up for you when you think, this is the brave stuff I really did?
Well, part of my good karma is that I've always had this sense of what was forward. I have a personal sense of what's forward. And so all the bravery has come at the moments when I knew what was forward, but it meant giving up a lot and taking a leap and, going more into the groundless part. And so there's been different times in my life. And one was when I became a nun. That wasn't the first one, but when I became a nun, and I had to decide, whether I had children who were young teenagers and a whole life. And so a lot of times people think, well, becoming a monastic is like running away from life. But for me, definitely, it was forward. It was going more and more into that unknown. It was like spending my whole life finding out how to wake up rather than status quo. I guess at each time, the bravery has come going beyond the status quo. So that was one time. But then there's also when I left my first husband. That was also like leaving what felt like the status quo to go into I didn't know what. Then when my marriage broke up, it was all actually around domestic things. When my marriage broke up the second time, now that was very interesting because that was the biggest test of all. Because I wanted desperately to go back to the status quo, where we had been. Now, intellectually, I knew that it wasn't so great. We fought a lot and sex, but it represented comfort in a kind of a very primitive way, It represented comfort, security, and so forth. Even if it really wasn't, that was the draw. And so actually, I didn't have any choice, right? He had left, and I always thank him for the fact that he was very clear about it, because I would have taken any crumb, to hold on to the possibility that we would get back. So during that time, I think that's when I had to be the bravest, because I was in free fall. I didn't have a clue what was going to come next. And I had no Buddhist teachings or anything like that, right? And so I just kept putting one foot in front of another, you know, I would say now that I had some kind of natural capacity to stay open to what might present itself. But at the time, I had no such language or anything like that. All I knew was I couldn't go back, so I could only go forward, and forward was not, like, forward is always never, not written, right? You don't know what's going to happen when you're just going forward.
Now, you mentioned that you had some kind of gift or instinct or feel for what forward is in a situation.
Yeah.
Like you have a feel for that.
Yeah.
What would you say to someone who's maybe like, well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure which way is forward. I'm not sure.
So, like many people in the 1970s, I was very into Don Juan's teaching. Mm-hmm. And so I remember to this day certain of the instructions, and one of them is Don Juan de Carlos saying, you make a decision and then you never look back. You don't second guess yourself. Well, I should have done the other one, I should have done this one. Maybe if I hadn't done this one, that would have happened or something. So I think you think about it and you do your best, and then you leap. And you know, you don't just leap stupidly, but you do your best, but then you just make a decision and you go that way. And I think no matter what happens on the outer level, you're internally, any decision you make is going to be a journey. Any decision you're going to make. And there's no way, because again, karma ripens, right? So you work with how you work with the circumstances, rather than think that if you went on the right road, if you made the right decision, you could avoid all that.
Discover on-demand videos and docuseries, explore a full schedule of daily life classes, and become part of an incredible community. At Sounds True One, we invite you inward to find your way your way.